Okay, we'll recite the same mantra. On page number 6. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham jayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata, the cessation of causes, as well as taught by the great seer. Page 4, refuge in Bodhicitta. Taking refuge and generating Bodhicitta. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Okay. This morning we were discussing on as to what are the internal factors responsible for the fears, the miseries, dissatisfactions, unhappiness, loss of freedom happening, and how to overcome the internal factors. This is the main question. So for that matter, first what we need to learn is that in the history of the humanity, see if there was someone who was able to accomplish that deed, to get rid of all the fears and to accomplish the infinite happiness. Looking at the history of humanity, we come to realize this history of humanity we can look at from two angles. One from the causal and the other from the resultant state. Looking from the causal state, somebody who's already inspired by Prince Siddhartha, who is already inspired, wants to know how this Prince Siddhartha traversed along the path. How this Prince Siddhartha, as a young prince, how he left the whole palace at the age of 29, what made him to leave the palace age 29 and eventually succeed to become such an enlightened being. So from the causal state to the ultimate happiness, ultimate achievement, enlightenment. So from the cause to the result. This is one approach. Then another approach was like you have no clue who this Prince Siddhartha was. Suddenly you come to hear that there was one great teacher who everybody was attracted to us, and then you come to you start to explore how he became so great. Okay, this is what happened was that there was the great, in fact, the Buddha Shakyamuni. After Buddha Shakyamuni, there were 7 heirs. 7 heirs, meaning the 7 successors. The successors. The first successor was, anybody who knows who the first successor of the Buddha Shakyamuni was? After Buddha Shakyamuni passing into Nirvana? Yes, Thomas?
Mahakashyapa.
Yes, thank you. Mahakashyap, he was the first successor, and everybody was expecting Ananda, who was the Buddha's immediate, the most important attendant, to be the successor, but then the Buddha appointed Mahakashyap as the successor of the Buddha Shakyamuni. So how Mahakashyap, who was Mahakashyap? What made him so special? This was the question. Mahakashyap, before he met the Buddha Shakyamuni, he himself was a great teacher. He was a great teacher, and he had many students. And he came to realize that some of the students, they started to go to receive teachings from the Prince Gautama. Gautama means the Buddha. Gautama, the family name, the Gautama. Then, okay, that's fine. Some students go there, and then later on he also discovered that not only he has some students, but very bright students, bright and very stable students. They also go to receive teaching from him. Then he started to have a question. Okay, who is this teacher? He started to question. And he wanted to know, how come that he is able to draw the attention of even the very bright, stable the practitioners? How come that what kind of qualities he had? Then he started to explore, Mahakashyap. He explored. He first see that this Prince Siddhartha, now revered as the fully awakened one, is revered as the fully awakened one, and the one as the Tathagata, meaning the one who has gone to the ultimate. Sugata, the one who had experienced the total peace, absolute peace. How come that he experienced that? Unless he had that experience, people cannot be drawn towards him. So he must have this experience. How come that he gained that experience? Then he explored. Then he came to realize that this Buddha Shakyamuni, he realized what is known as, what today we call as emptiness. He realized the concept of emptiness, concept of the illusion-like nature of all phenomena. And how come that this was what he realized? He was the first person on this earth to realize this concept. And how come that he realized that? How come that he realized that? Nobody could understand this concept on this earth till he came. And even his 2 teachers also did not realize this concept. And how come that he realized this concept? So then he realized that it was his very strong determination, the wish to benefit all the beings, altruism. Okay. So this altruism was the trigger point for him to discover many more things, eventually for him to become the enlightened one, Tathagata. So this is how this Prince Siddhartha became such an enlightened being. Okay. If you turn to page 5, in the middle, do you see this 2 lines which reads, "The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata and protector, to you I make prostrations. Do you see that? Okay. So these are two stanzas which were actually written by Acharya Dignaga. Acharya Dignaga. The text, this is taken out from the text, his text, Pramana Samuchaya. Pramana Samuchaya, the compendium of the Vedic cognition. The compendium of Vedic cognition, Pramana Samuchaya. This is the text. And these two lines are the words of salutation of this text. And the salutation is made to the Buddha by Acharya Dignaga. And you must also know the story of Acharya Dignaga. Acharya Dignaga was 6th century great Indian master. And Acharya Dignaga, what happened was that when he was about like 10 years old, in those days in India, it was not like the school system that we have now in the West. It was like, say, in those days they call it Gurukul system, where there is somebody who's learned, and then all the villagers, they will send their children to this teacher, and the teacher's own house is the classroom, the school, whatever. And sometimes the teacher gives the class outside under the tree. Otherwise, in his own house. This is the school in those days. So the Acharya Dignaga, the one who wrote these two lines, he was one of the students there. Then one day, the teacher taught a concept, and he was just about like 10 years old. The teacher taught a concept, and then that even in those, unlike what is today in the modern education system, the students, the tendency, the whole culture was designed in such a way that the students are so obedient to the teachers. There's such a respect, surrender, these things. That was the trend of the teacher-student relationship in those days. So after the teaching, then that night or that evening, in those days there were no lights, no electricity. Then the other school children, the boys, what they noticed was that this boy, Dignaga, he was and then he stripped off his clothes, naked, and then he was holding a lamb, say the oil lamp, and looking for something. And all other boys, they thought that, seeing what he was doing, they thought that the Dignaga went crazy. In the first place, he stripped himself off naked, and then with the lantern, he was looking for something. Okay, he can look for something, why should he strip off naked? He can strip naked, why should he look for something? These two things, combination is very strange. So, they thought he had gone crazy. So the next day, with great excitement, all the students, they jumped to narrate this story to the teacher. Teacher instantly became very stern and very, he did not become like, he did not just break into laughter. The students thought, the other children, they thought that he was going to break into laughter. Instead of he became very serious. Then in the class, he asked Dignaga, stand up. Then he stood up. Then asked, did you do what the other students are telling? Did you strip off naked yourself? He said, yes, sir. And were you looking for something with the lantern? He said, yes, sir. Then the teacher became very serious and angry. And the Acharya Dignaga also, okay, so he was a student, very young, age like 10, sitting there. And the teacher said, did you do it? Acharya Dignaga said, yes, sir. Two of them, they communicated. All the students, they remained like they're frozen. What is happening? We thought that teacher was going to laugh because this boy gone mad. No, it must be a very serious matter. They didn't know what was happening. And the teacher said, get out. And Acharya Dignaga so happily left. So what he was doing, that the teacher taught the concept of a self, which is a permanent, unitary, and independent. And Acharya Dignaga, he did not agree with this philosophy. At the age 10, he did not agree with his philosophy. So actually he was like, he cannot revolt against the teacher, he cannot be rebellious. So what he was doing, he stripped of himself and said, where is the self? Permanent, unitary, independent self. With the lamp he was looking for the self. And the other boys did not know what he was doing. And the teacher, hearing this, he knew that he was actually challenging what he taught the day before. So he said, get out. And he left, so happily Dinaka left. And then he became the father of the Buddhist logic. And this word of salutation is word of salutation Buddha. And then he composed the whole treatises, whole genre of treatises on Buddhist logic. And a great psychologist, epistemologist, and a great practitioner. He was a hermit. So what happened was that these two lines, this is very, very, very precious. He composed, in those days, no paper, so no the facility of the privilege of using these papers. He was just the hermit, and like 6th century AD. He wrote this. He was meant to compose this text. See, on a slate, he wrote the first word of salutation. He left. He left for his arms round. Coming back, he saw that it was just erased. What was written was erased. And again he wrote the same thing the next day. He left. Coming back, again erased. Third time, same thing. Then the fourth time, he did not write this. He wrote that whosoever erased what I wrote. If you erase this out of joke, this is not a joke, this is not a fun, this is a very important work that I'm doing. Please don't erase this. If you erase this because you disagree with what I wrote, come in person. He wrote it and left. Coming back, he saw somebody waiting there. Waiting there. What for? In those days, in debates. If you disagree, debate. And if you debate, whoever lost the debate, it was a custom to be converted to the other tradition of your opponent. Then two of them started debating, and how can this person win debate against the father of the Buddhist logic? A great logician. He lost the debate, and then instead of sticking to the bet or the custom, he, out of great anger and rage, he sent fires from his mouth to Acharya Dinaga. And Acharya Dinaga's robes were burned. And he felt so demoralized, thought that, okay, I'm always praying that may I become Buddha for the benefit of the for all my sentient beings. And today, look, that forget about benefit all sentient beings. I can't even benefit one person who is right in front of my nose. So he felt so sad. And then he just threw this slate in the air. The moment the slate were to fall, he was to quit the idea of the Bodhicitta. Then the slate never fell. And he looked up and he saw Arya Manjushri. He saw Arya Manjushri, the Bodhisattva of wisdom.
On the other side, with Avalokiteshvara there, with the 1,000 nuns.
Yes, Arya Manjushri there, Avalokiteshvara, the central figure. To his right side, to your left side, is Arya Manjushri with the sword. Arya Manjushri was holding the slate in the sky, in the space above. Then Arya Manjushri said, Dignaga, don't feel demoralized. I'm always there to guide you and bless you. Don't feel demoralized. You continue composing this text. This text will become the eyes for the millions and billions of beings in the future to see the light of the reality. You must not stop this. So this inspiration given. So these two lines, and then he wrote the whole text, and of course there are 4 lines, word of salutation to the Buddha, and these 2 lines are the main. Then 7th century AD, this was 6th century AD, after 100 years later, Acharya Dharmakirti, another great logician, Buddhist logician, Then he saw these two lines and he was mesmerized by these two lines. Wow, it's amazing. He was just, these two lines, he could see like whole volumes, he could see. Just reading these two, for us, two lines. For him, he could see volumes there. Then he started to write a commentary on these two lines. Just on two lines, he wrote a commentary. And the commentary is known as Pramana Vartika, commentary on Vedic cognition. Pramana Vartika, and particularly on these two lines, it was the second chapter, Pramana Vartika. The second chapter, which has 283 stanzas. And two lines became 283 stanzas. And 283 stanzas, if you read, you will not understand anything. Right? For that, you need two huge volumes to understand the 283 stanzas. Okay. So this will tell us what is the meaning of a life and how to achieve that. What is the meaning of a life? Fearlessness and infinite happiness. Fearlessness and infinite happiness. Right? Let us learn how to be very precise. Right? Okay, fearlessness and infinite happiness. Okay, if we want this, then how can we achieve this? So we have to know the sound or clap, which we did this morning, and the two hands symbolizing the two factors, and the sound symbolizing the suffering, the fears of life. And the fears of life, they undeniably, or they arise from the two factors, external factors, internal factors. And of course, one thing that I like to share with you is that we should be very, very, very practical. We should be very realistic. Sometimes what happens is that either we become too directed towards outside, or we become too directed towards inside too. The moment you are directed towards these two things in a very extreme form, we are being very unrealistic. The moment we are unrealistic, we will never accomplish our intended goal, intended aspiration. So, how people can become too directed towards outside is that they always blame outside, always blame outside, always blame outside. Never think about inside. This is one extreme. In other words, that is materialism, excessive materialism. Always looking for external factors or the happiness outside externally. This is one extreme. Another one is going to the other opposite, other extreme of just saying that, oh, all problems, say somebody has a deep depression, oh, this purely your thinking, there's nothing really the external, it's purely thinking. And somebody is very hungry, or purely your thinking. No, external factors are there. For example, if you are in Finland in the winter, you cannot say that you go out and oh, it's purely your thinking. Temperature 30 degrees, what? Minus 30 degrees centigrade is purely your thinking. This is totally unrealistic. Totally unrealistic. But which means that we have to take care of both external factors and internal factors. Meanwhile, we have to acknowledge the reality. The reality is that external factors, we cannot get rid of them completely. In terms of number, the number is just infinite, external factors, number one. Number two, even the conducive factors can become non-conducive. For example, say when you're alone, you say, I'm lonely. When you're with other people, you have what? I have no privacy, right? And if somebody takes care of you, they will say that you're overprotective. And if you don't know somebody taking care of you, nobody loves me. If somebody loves you, there's a problem. You're overprotective, right? This is a problem. So therefore, external factors we cannot really think of getting rid of the complete, but we have to take care of the external factors. Make sure that the external factors, although we cannot reduce them to zero, but we have to take care of the external factors. Try to run away from the external factors as much as you can. Meanwhile, don't think that this is the ultimate solution. This is never the ultimate solution. External factors, immediate measure, long-term measure. Immediate measure, try your best to get away from the external factors to the best you can. Immediate measure. Long-term measure, get into the internal factors. Long-term measure, get into the internal factors. So, immediate measure, get into the external factors to the best you can. Meanwhile, do something to get rid of the internal factors completely. Okay, so for that matter, this Prince Siddhartha, he went in this journey and finally he discovered that external internal factors are there, and is finally to get the ultimate answer, for the ultimate measure, we must have to resort to get rid of the internal factors. This is what he realized. So what happened was that while he was there in the palace as a prince, just going to the experience, the luxury and the leisure, and the privilege as a prince at the palace, but he was never happy. And of course, if you read the biography of the Buddha, we see that he saw the four sides. This is very too simplistic. Okay, this is fine for beginners, but to be very honest, he is so exceptionally bright person, an exceptional compassionate person. And it's not that just by three sides, no, it's not, but for the beginners it's fine. So what actually happened was that okay, by the way, for your information, and that all these, the biography of the Buddha was, there was a drama, not really a drama, like a movie on this. This is, they are called as Buddha episodes. Buddha episodes, yes, Buddha episodes. There are about like 54 of them. It's so wonderfully done, so professionally done, so beautifully done. I would highly recommend to watch these 54 Buddha episodes. There are a number of them, Buddha episodes, Buddha something, with the different titles. Buddha episodes. Okay, that is one. And it has also subtitles. So the main language is in Hindi, Indian language, but it also has English subtitles, so you can get them. And of course, if the best would be, high quality would be, you can, the order through Amazon, you will get the high quality. It's very cheap, and also that is high quality, and with the English subtitle, Buddha episodes. There are 54. I think you will get the whole CD. Okay, so that I personally noticed, okay, inside that there may be little factual errors here and there. Don't worry about that part. The most important thing is to get inspiration of how somebody is to follow this path, to look for the fearlessness, state of total fearlessness, and a state of infinite happiness. How to acquire these two states. This is so beautifully depicted in this series, the 54 series, the Buddha episodes. Okay, what happened was that when he was in the palace as a young prince, he was exceptionally bright and exceptionally compassionate. So with these two things intact, he could see exactly what was going in the palace. All the shortcomings, all the problems, how the maids, then the people, the servants, how they were suffering terribly because of the abuse from the royal, the families, all these. So he was not really happy with seeing that there's such a, say, the gap between the royal family and the people who were working for them. He could see this huge gap, and he was never happy with this. And on top of that, he would see sickness, aging, death, which is common across the humanity. Then alongside, he could see the wars. In those days, the wars among the different kingdoms. It was so common, so much killings happening here and there. And seeing all these things, and he was so driven by the force of compassion towards all beings. He realized that just by sitting in the palace and then trying to benefit, this person, that person, save this person who was a prisoner, kept as a prisoner, being tortured, persecuted, he would save them. This will just not be the solution. So he left the palace to look for a reliable solution. Let us not forget this. So in this stanza, we see that the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. This is the main thesis. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide. Okay, I'm sharing with you, and then later on I'll ask questions. Right? We need to have the answers. Okay, so the main thesis is the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. This is the main thesis, and I'll explain each one of them. The main thesis that he who was originally a prince, just ordinary prince, very compassionate, very kind, and intelligent, extremely intelligent principal. There's a prince, and this young prince has transformed. Otherwise, was going to become an ordinary king and then die and finish. But then, unlike the other princes, he transformed into the reliable guide. Guide to guide those who seek fearlessness, total fearlessness, and infinite happiness. Right? Okay, he became a guide. He has transformed into a guide to lead those people who seek fearlessness and infinite happiness. How did he succeed? How did he succeed in this? Through 4 steps, not really steps, through the 4 premises. The first one, motivated by altruism to benefit all sentient beings. This is the first step. In the first place, unless he took the step to leave the palace, he would have never become what he is today, revered as the Buddha, and inspiration, seen as inspiration for infinite number of beings pertaining to the wisdom the wisdom and compassion. So then, this altruism, compassion, with this compassion, he left the palace. He left the palace for what? Anybody? He left the palace for what? Anybody? Find the truth. Find the truth. Let's say find a solution, right? Okay, even if you may find the truth, but then the truth is, if you see the truth as what Charles Darwin said, that you cannot do anything with the problems. If this is the truth that you've discovered, finish. Right? So he left to look for the solutions. You getting it? Solution to all the problems of the sentient beings. He left to look for the solutions, not just the truth. Okay, now I've found the truth, I'm lucky one, you poor guys, you have not found the truth. No. Solutions to solve the problems of all beings. Okay. So for that matter, because this is something which he never saw before. He never saw anybody who found the solution. So this is a very new journey. New journey. So first he had to seek help of some teachers. The first teacher that he met, 2 teachers. The first teacher he met was the teacher Allara Kalam. The teacher Allara Kalam was the first teacher. And first teacher, he took the help of the first teacher. Then he said that he studied, he practiced under this teacher. And within a very short span of time, he got the realization. He himself, this Prince Siddhartha, got the realization, same as the teacher. And then he asked for more instructions from the teacher. And the teacher said, you already realized everything. I have nothing more to offer. And again he went in search of another teacher. He found his second teacher. Second teacher is the master Udreka. Master Udreka, he found him. And then the second teacher, his realization is more profound than the first one. And again he was trained on the second, and very soon again he reached the same level. And he asked for more instructions. The teacher said, what instruction you need? You have already achieved whatever is to be achieved on this earth. You already achieved that. And you stay with me. And all my students are your students also. You can guide them. Then the Prince Siddhartha, he said that, no, I came here to look for the solution to solve all the problems. But still I did not get the solution to solve all the problems. Then he went into 6 years of penance, austerity. And then finally, he found the fun solution. What is the solution? Guess. What solution he found? Anybody? Yes, Thomas?
Nirvana. Four Noble Truths. The battle against Mara, the enlightenment. No?
Okay, slowly. You are young, I know. Right? Young, you have to go a little slow. Think of us. Right? Think of me, particularly who is a little slow. Okay, run slow. Okay, Nirvana. Nirvana is not really the solution.
Not in Mahayana view.
Okay, no. Okay, slow. Okay, let's say. So the point is that what we learned this morning was that we have to look for the solution. First, we have to identify the cause of the problem. We identify the cause of the problem. Once the cause of the problem is identified, then the counterforce is the solution. You agree with me? If you identify the cause, ultimate cause, the pipe fracture, pipe crack, if that is a cause, then the counterforce is fix it. Right? The glue to fix this, this is a counterforce. Likewise, we have to look for the final cause of all the problems, and whatever is the exact counterforce of this root cause of the problem, that becomes the solution. Okay, so he went in search of what the cause of the problem is. What the cause of the problem is. So the cause of the problem, for the cause of the problem, the mantra which recited, Ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum desham tathagato hyavatad. What these causes are is taught by the Tathagata. Tathagata meaning the Buddha. So the Buddha identified what these causes are. What are the causes which the Buddha identified? So our job is to learn this and see whether it makes sense to you. Don't just follow blindly. Oh, this is what the Buddha said. You cannot say anything which is against what the Buddha said. This should not be approach. This should not be approach. First learn what the Buddha said and then see whether it makes sense to you. Rationally it makes sense. If it makes sense to you, perfect. For example, how many of you know 2 into 3 equals 6? How many of you know 2 into 3, 2 multiplied by 3 equals 6? How many of you know that? Wow, how do you know that? Huh? How do you know that? Okay, 2 into 3 is a little complicated. 2 plus 2 equals 4. How many of you know that? How do you know that? Amazing. Who taught you that? 2 plus 2 equals 4. Huh? School. Okay, 2 plus 2 is 4 because I learned from the school? Or you know it yourself? I know it myself. Initially I learned from the school, but now I know it perfectly. I know it perfectly well. Right? Okay, this is earlier for a very young child, age 3 child, most of them, if you teach 2 plus 2 equals 4, then next time you ask the child, what is 2 plus 2? Will say 4. How do you know this? The child will have no clue. The child will say that I learned from the school. I learned from the teacher. But now, for you, if I ask 2 plus 2 equals 4, how do you know this? I learned from the school. Don't say that. You say, I know this. I know this. This is my knowledge. When you say I learned from the school, means it's a borrowed knowledge. It's a borrowed knowledge. When you say I know this, means it is your knowledge. It's not a borrowed knowledge. You getting it? Okay. Your knowledge will give you confidence. Borrowed knowledge will not give you confidence. So if you say that, oh, this is what the Buddha taught, this is borrowed knowledge. When you say that, yes, of course, this is what the Buddha taught, it makes total sense. When I say it makes total sense, which means that now it has become my knowledge. When it becomes your knowledge, only then the transformation will take place. When it remains a borrowed knowledge, transformation will not take place within you. Finally, the transformation takes place within you. What creates problem, that must be removed. What creates problem? Your mind must be transformed from the state of what creates problem to the state of problemlessness. That must be transformed. This transformation will take place only if the knowledge is introduced and it becomes your knowledge. But then initially it must be a borrowed knowledge. You have to learn from somebody. Once you learn it, don't ape. Don't just ape and keep it there. First learn it and then subject that to analysis. Subject that to analysis, and the moment you go, wow, that's amazing, that makes sense, it's very true, it has become your knowledge. Only then, with this, you take this as a tool, and then this will help you to transform your mind. From somebody, it says, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. Once he was just an ordinary person as a young prince. Then he transformed through gaining conviction in what he learned. Okay, so for that matter, say, first to get this, the solution, we have to know the root cause of the problem. Identify root cause of the problem, we'll identify the root cause of the problem is twofold: ignorance and self-centered attitude. The root cause of the problem, in a loose vernacular language, ignorance and self-centered attitude. In a technical sense, ignorance, precisely self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. These two are not one, these two are different. Self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. Okay, so once you identify that the problems, the source of the problem, you asked this question this morning, okay, what question do you have for me? And you said that what are the internal factors and how to remove the internal factors. These two questions came to you. Okay, so the root cause of the problems are the two internal factors: self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. These are the two root causes. So these are two internal factors. When you remove these two internal factors, self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude, then of the two hands, one hand is gone. Then you are only left with the external factors. However forceful the external factor is, there is no sound. Sound of the misery stops. So the point is that identifying these two root causes, self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude, once you identify these two causes, then your job is to look for the solution. The solution. So, self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude, and let me give an example of the self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude. Where are they? Outside or inside? Tell me. Self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude, where are they? Outside or within ourselves? Within ourselves. These are the internal factors. These are the internal factors. These are within us. As long as these two are within us, the gold is mixed with the dirt of this self-grasping, ignorant, self-centered attitude. The gold will not glow. Why the Buddha nature inside us? Why the seed of perfection within us is not glowing as of now? Is because of that is mixed with the two mental dirts, two internal factors. What are the two internal factors? Self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. For the time being, it is your borrowed knowledge. What are the two internal factors? Self-grasping ignorance, self-centered. This is a borrowed knowledge. This is not your. Maybe who knows? Somebody is already enlightened and coming here just to test what I'm teaching. Right? Who knows? Otherwise, if that is not the case, then for sure you don't know what it is your borrowed knowledge as of now. But we never know. Right? We never know, there might be one or two or three, all of you maybe, just to test, you know. Yeah, we never know. At least for me, I can't say. To me, It's totally obscured. But if you pretend it's so like you don't know, accordingly I pretend it's so like I'm teaching something, right? We never know. Okay, so the point is that so our job is to learn how these two, which for the time being is your borrowed knowledge, that internal factors are the self-grasping, ignorance, self-centered attitude, and then later on one should feel the confidence. One should be confident that yes, self-grasping ignorance within me, self-centered attitude within me, these are the two internal factors. The moment these two are gone, self-grasping ignorance is gone, the fear gone, self-centered attitude gone, infinite happiness automatically dawns. Right? Finish, your job is done. So the solution lies in the getting rid of the self-grasping, ignorant, self-centered attitude. So how to get rid of that? This question. So for that, tell me. I came here last night, and I'm not too sure whether it's my first time in Finland. Maria, any idea that His Holiness visited Finland between 2005 and the 2009?
Yes.
When?
2008. 2009. Okay. 2009.
9.
Or 8.
8 maybe.
8 or 9. Yes.
Okay, which means this is my second time. If not, then it's my first time.
You told me, Geshe, one time that you came here with His Holiness. So I think it's second time.
Okay, so let's say that this is my first time. Anyway, that was, this is my second time. The first time what I saw was only the teaching hall inside and the inside of the hotel. I did not see the outside. Now I'm seeing the outside, right? So you see that there's a tinge of fear in me. There's a tinge of fear in me. Okay, there's a tinge of fear in me. And then Henrik says, oh, Geshe, have no fear, because this is tiger-free zone. You don't, there's no tiger there. Is it true or not? Tell me. Hey, is this tiger-free zone or not? It's tiger-free zone. That's true. Is it valid or this is ignorance? It's a valid. But still my fear is there. Still I'm scared. Then Henry comes. Oh, Geshe, why are you so scared? So there's no elephant. Is it true or not? Oh, that's also true. That's valid. That's a valid cognition. It's not ignorance. It's valid cognition. Still my fear is not gone. How will you help me? Anybody?
Something else there.
No, how will you help me? Your job is, don't just tell me there's something else there. But you must help me to get rid of my fear.
Tell you why they can't survive here.
Huh?
I can tell you why those animals can't survive in this climate.
Okay, so you're going to tell me great detail. You give me a whole 1 month lecture. How tiger cannot survive, how elephant cannot. Still, my fear is there.
We go investigate.
No, the Henrik, you told me that there's no tiger. Anybody else?
Acknowledge the fear.
Huh?
Acknowledge the fear.
Say it again. Acknowledge the fear. Oh, acknowledge the fear. Still, the fear is there. What to do? Anybody? How will you help me?
Investigate.
Show you the truth.
Huh?
Accept it.
The truth that the winter is so long night. This is the truth. And the summer is long days. It's truth. Yes, I know this truth. Still, there's a fear.
I will ask you, where does your fear come from?
Very good. Fear is coming from inside.
What are you afraid of?
Yes. Okay, what's your name? Jakob. Jakob said, hey, Henry, your name?
Virginie.
Huh?
Virginie.
Virginie. And who others? Who said it? What? There? Anna Maria, right? Then Jacob said that, hey, don't talk all this nonsense, right? Just ask him, what is he afraid of? Right? And then you come, hey, Geshe, what are you afraid of? Then I said that I'm afraid of mosquitoes. You're getting it? While all your statements are correct, no tiger, no elephant, right? While they're all correct statements, they're all valid. They're all valid. They're all wisdom. They're not ignorance. They're all wisdom. But the wisdom that is required to get rid of my fear is not any wisdom. It's to a very specific wisdom. You're getting it? Likewise, the ignorance which is responsible for all the fears, this ignorance, the wisdom required is not any wisdom. A very specific wisdom is required. Very specific wisdom is required. Otherwise, you study anything to get rid of fears, your fear will never get rid of. Your miseries will never come to an end. So what is that specific wisdom? You have to identify these ignorances. I said the self, what did I say? Which ignorance? Self-grasping ignorance.
Explain me, what does it mean, self-grasping ignorance?
Very
ignorant.
Sorry?
No, okay, please explain.
Very good. What exactly is self-grasping ignorance? So this, I'm here to explain it. Okay, so let's say whatever is the self-grasping ignorance is, the wisdom that you're going to introduce must be something which is directly in opposition with the self-grasping ignorance pertaining to the object of apprehension. Say, if I say that if my self-grasping ignorance says that, oh, there must be a mosquito here, malaria mosquito here, then the wisdom must be, wisdom to get rid of this fear must be, wisdom to say that there's no malaria ignorance, there's no malaria mosquito, right? There's no malaria mosquito. Only then this fear, there must be a malaria mosquito, this fear will go away. Whereas my fear is, oh, there must be a tiger, then usually the wisdom must be, wisdom to say that there is no tiger. Whereas if the fear that I have is that, oh, there must be elephant here, then the wisdom must be, the wisdom to say that, don't worry, there's no elephant here. You're getting it? Okay. So the point is that the wisdom, there are so many kinds of wisdoms. There are so many kinds of wisdom. Of these, the wisdom that is required is the wisdom which is directly in opposition with the ignorance pertaining to the object of apprehension. What the ignorance apprehends, wisdom must be able to say that that is not true, it's the opposite. You're getting it? The ignorance says that things exist objectively, things exist real. The wisdom must be able to say that that's not true, things don't exist as real, things don't exist objectively. Okay, so still the question, what's your name?
Kairi.
Kairi. Airi or Kairi? Airi. Okay, so the question which Airi asks, what exactly is self-grasping is still not answered. Still not answered, but we have learned, what we have learned is that the ignorance that you want to get rid of, to get rid of this, the wisdom to be introduced must be directly, okay, this is what we have to learn. The wisdom to be introduced to counteract the ignorance must be the wisdom which is directly in opposition with the ignorance pertaining to the object of apprehension. Can you say this? Okay, what is that wisdom? What wisdom should be introduced? The wisdom which is directly in opposition with the ignorance pertaining to the object of apprehension. Okay, if the ignorance says that, oh, what a beautiful chocolate. You look at this, and ignorance says, what a beautiful chocolate. How? Finland has beautiful chocolates like a flower. Beautiful chocolate. Then you say, no, this is not a chocolate. This is not a chocolate. Right? I say that this is a chocolate. This is ignorance. And your wisdom should be so, your wisdom should not say, this is not a tiger. You're getting it? I said this is chocolate. No. This is, you are saying what you're saying is wrong. This is tiger. This is not a tiger. Don't say this. What should you say? When I say this is chocolate, this is ignorance. So how to get rid of this ignorance? You have to be able to say that this is not a chocolate. You're getting it? This is very important. Okay. With this in mind, so the question is, what exactly is self-grasping ignorance? Okay. Before we go there, what exactly self-grasping ignorance? So let's say that the Buddha this Prince Siddhartha went in search of after identifying the self-grasping ignorance as a cause of suffering, then he went in search of this solution to solve this problem. So the solution should be a wisdom. For example, what we learned this morning? What we learned this morning? For example, let's say that we are so keen to read a book, and then in the night there's a total power cut, and it so happens that it is in the winter, not in the summer. In the summer, even in the 12 like midnight, still there's light, right? In the summer, yes. In the winter, no light. If there's power cut, then generally there's no light. Then you have to read a book. What should you do? There's power cut. Buddha, please remove the darkness. If you pray this, the Buddha will be very sad. What a stupid follower. Right? Whereas if you light a candle, the Buddha will be very happy. What a bright follower. Amazing. Right? Buddha will be so happy. So, in order to dispel the darkness, the wisest thing to do is introduce the counterforce, which is directly in opposition to the light, to the darkness, which is light. Introduce light. It is only through introducing the light that the darkness can be eradicated. Likewise, it is only through introducing the light of the wisdom that the darkness of ignorance can be eradicated. This is what to be done. So, what is the second? So here we said that the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. The first line is the main thesis, that wow, he's a reliable guide. I'm so lucky that I found a reliable guide, the Buddha Shakyamuni. I'm so happy that So what made him a reliable guide? Through 4 premises. What is the first premise? The first premise is that he was driven by the altruism. What he says? Motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. With altruism, then he went in search of solution. So what is number 2? The teacher. The teacher. Number 3, Sugata. Number 4, protector. Okay. The 5 points we have to know. The first point is the thesis, the main thesis that we want to know. And the remaining 4 points are the premises. The premises which help us to understand the thesis, which help us to discern the thesis or establish the thesis. So the main thesis is that this Prince Siddhartha, we are looking for a reliable guide, somebody who can guide us to fearlessness and the infinite happiness. And who is this guide? You browse through the history of humanity, you found one Prince Siddhartha. So Prince Siddhartha is one who reached that level. But how do you know that he reached that level? So the reasonings that employ, they are four reasonings. What are the 4 reasonings? What are the 4 reasonings? Number 1, altruism to benefit all sentient beings. Number 1. Number 2, teacher. Number 3, Sugata. Number 4, protector. Okay, these are the 4 reasons on the basis of which we become very confident that this Prince Siddhartha had transformed into the reliable guide. So therefore now we have found the reliable guide. This is how we should approach. Now the 4 premises, how these 4 points work as a reason for us to gain conviction that the Prince Siddhartha has transformed into the reliable guide. Number 1, he went in search of he was motivated by compassion. This compassion made him to look for the solution. So this solution, he was to teach the beings, the teacher. Number 2 is teacher. Teacher meaning that he should teach the solution to all the beings. You agree with me? Good. What was he to teach? He was to teach the wisdom of emptiness, the wisdom which is directly in opposition with the self-grasping ignorance, the wisdom of emptiness. This is what he should teach. Okay, now before he teaches this, how many of you know that the antibiotics, the medicines when the medicines were invented, then the people first they have to experiment it to see the efficacy of the medicines. How many of you know that? Raise your hands. Okay, it's so obvious, right? Without experimented, how can you be sure that it may kill you rather than heal you? So you have to experiment it. So this Prince Siddhartha, what he did was that he got the medicine. He got the medicine, which is the wisdom of emptiness. He got the medicine to heal the problems. So before he actually went out to teach, he experimented it on himself. He experimented on himself. You know that the person who invented the antibiotics for the ulcer problem, he first experimented on himself. You know that? Do you know that? How many of you know that? Yes, this is a fact. What he did was that he invented this, and then what he did was he said that all this ulcer problem is not just, what people believe is because of some bacteria. So first what he did was he consumed the bacteria himself. He consumed the bacteria, and all the indications of the ulcer started to happen to him. When that happened, people are seeing that. And then he started to take the antibiotics, and the problem is gone. So he experimented this on himself, the efficacy, to prove the efficacy of this, he experimented on himself. So the Prince Siddhartha, what he did was he found the medicine, which is the wisdom of emptiness. So this wisdom of emptiness, okay, this medicine, but I have to experiment it on myself first. So he experimented that on himself. Okay, this connects us, this invariably takes us to the next point, which in the mantra, Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava, Hetum Desham Tathagato Hyavatat, what the causes of the suffering are is indicated by the Tathagata. So what are the causes of suffering? What are the causes of suffering which the Tathagata indicated? This question. So this is very beautifully, of course the Buddha taught it very clearly in the form of the 12 links of dependent origination, which is there towards the end of the book. Okay, it's on page 328. Wheel of Life. Do you see that? Wheel of Life. Do you see picture? Page 328. 328. No, you don't see that? 318. 318. It must be a different edition. 318. Good. Page 318. This is Wheel of Life. Wheel of Life. This whole instruction was given by the Buddha himself. Of course, I will not get much time to explain in detail about this, but I'm going to give how all this is beautifully summarized by Arya Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna, the 2nd century, and then it's a little bit of the debate whether it's the 1st century AD or 2nd century AD, it doesn't matter. 1st century AD, great, the saint scholar Arya Nagarjuna, revered as the 2nd Buddha by the Mahayana practitioners. So what is said in his text, the fundamental wisdom of the middle way. The fundamental wisdom of the middle way, in this text, okay, tea break?
Yes, when you feel like it. So it's
okay.
If you want now, that was good.
Okay.
Discussion group now?
Yes. Okay, so what he said was, he said one stanza. This stanza beautifully summarizes all the teaching of the Wheel of Life. This stanza is in Tibetan, in English, Cessation of karmas and afflictions leads to nirvana. Karmas and afflictions arise from distorted conceptions. Distorted conceptions in turn conceptions arise from elaboration of self-grasping ignorance. Self-grasping ignorance ceases through the wisdom of emptiness. This is what Aranigarjuna said. Okay, tea break. Okay, we'll recite the Heart Sutra mantra. Heart Sutra, which is of the, maybe again, the maybe difference in page number. Heart Sutra, page number? Huh? Huh? 89. Page number 89. The mantra. 29. Page number 29. Just mantra. Just mantra. We'll recite the mantra 3 times. Page 30. Page 30. The mantra. Just mantra. We'll recite 3 times. And of course, we need to know the meaning of this mantra as well. Deyatha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhi Swaha. Okay, tea break.